13%. So this is the picture emerging. Even, of course, the India Alliance is going to be the biggest party by quite a bit, but the BJP opening its account. This is a look at the vote share. As I mentioned, they could rise by as much as 9% to come to 13%. So big gains projected in Tamil Nadu. We'll talk about this, of course, in just a bit. Let's go across to Kerala as well. This is the other big state where the BJP is focusing a lot, the PM is focusing a lot, and the News18 mega poll projects some historic numbers. 2 seats being projected for the BJP and an increase of 3% in the vote share. Now in Kerala, they've managed good vote percentage. So the increase is only 3% to take them to 18% this time around. So they've had 15% vote share, but they haven't really had any seats to really count for. Let's also take a look very quickly at Telangana. I told you about how this is the big story emerging as far as the BJP is concerned. So here in Telangana, there is a jump of 4 seats for the BJP, which is not bad at all, and an increase of 9% in their vote share. Here the BRS's decline is the big story, of course, but Congress is also a gainer here. And if these numbers hold true, this will be the first time the NDA could emerge as the biggest party in Telangana in a Lok Sabha election, because overall their numbers are still trumping the India Alliance numbers. Okay, let's come quickly to the state of Andhra Pradesh now. Set to crush the YSRCP in Andhra Pradesh, the combine of BJP, TDP, Paval Kalyan. Now this is the big one to watch out for. The NDA is projected to win as much as 18 out of the 25 seats. Last time the BJP could not open their account here. Last time they did not contest with the TDP. Let's also shift our attention . Let's go across to the other big update that we're getting right now. Kavita, BRS leader, has been detained at her residence after raids that took place at her residence. She has been detained by the Enforcement Directorate, is what we are getting to know. This after raids were conducted at her residence earlier today, and I believe this is very much in connection with the liquor gate scam that Kavita has been questioned in. We'll get more details in just a bit. We'll try and connect with our reporters, but big update coming in as far as South India politics is concerned. BRS MLC Kavita detained by the ED. We can confirm this now. She's of course daughter of the BRS chief. Let's go across to my colleague Arunima joining us. Arunima, big update coming in connection with the liquor gate scam. Tell us more of what we know.
All that the Enforcement Directorate is confirming at the moment is that they want to question Kavita further, and that's why from her Hyderabad residence, she's being flown down to Delhi. The rules are very clear, the CRPC rules are very clear, that if a woman has to be taken into custody, it cannot happen after sunset, and it has to be in presence of another woman constable or a woman officer. I think that's the reason why, when they wanted to question her further, with the prospect of the IU deciding at a later stage if arrest should be made today itself, that's the reason perhaps why they're bringing her to Delhi without wasting time for sunset to happen. What they're confirming is that she will be questioned further, and during the course of the questioning, it will be made clear by the investigating officer if custodial interrogation is required.
So, can you give us also a quick backgrounder on the raids that were conducted at her residence today, Arunima?
Yes, so what we are told is that the searches that were conducted was to get more evidence as far as the money laundering allegations against her are concerned. There are allegations that proceeds of crime in the liquor policy scam were invested by Kavita and the others from the South group. The CBI is already, probing this particular case, being probed by the Enforcement Directorate. So the Enforcement Directorate was carrying out searches today because they were not sure whether the shell companies, Kavita was aware about it, where the laundered money, or where the shell company papers, the digital devices which could have more details, where all of that was, and that is why these searches were being conducted. Looks like the ED's investigating officer was not satisfied with the answers given, and that led to the requirement of further questioning, and that is why she's being brought to Delhi.
Arunima, just stay with me. I want to quickly go across to my colleague Swastika joining us from Hyderabad. And Swastika, you're reporting that there is a crowd building up already outside K. Kavita's residence. Tell us more of what you're picking up.
In fact, Harina Shah was not being allowed to go inside. You can see, apart from the media contingent, there's also a battery of supporters who have now built around her house. In fact, they're banging on the gates of K. Kavita. The questioning was underway for nearly 3 hours now, and now it has been confirmed that Kavita has been detained in connection with the Delhi liquor case. And in fact, KTR is also here. KT Rama Rao is also here. In fact, the family has been trying very hard to get inside her house, but because of the ED officials still being inside, that's not going to be possible. You can also hear chants of DRS workers, in fact, chanting against the Modi government. In fact, they are saying that this is a political conspiracy. Everything said and done, in a few moments now, we can expect the ED officials, in fact, to come out of the gate before 6, in fact, and they are also standing late, is what we're given to understand. Taking Kavita to Delhi directly for further questioning. Back to you.
Swastika, I'm going to come back to you. I want to go to Arunima, my colleague. She's been tracking, of course, all the developments in the Liquorgate probe. Arunima, for the benefit of our viewers, let's recap what the case against K. Kavita is.
Is a very important player mentioned in the ED charge sheet, mentioned in the CBI charge sheet, and that is the South Group. There are a number of businessmen who were associated with the South Group. The allegation was that this South Group and all the businessmen associated with it, be it Mr. Mahindru, be it Dinesh Arora, they were all part of this conspiracy, and that K. Kavita was also in Delhi. That's what one of the charge sheets says, that she was also in Delhi around the time that these businessmen were meeting up with Mr. Nair, one of the close associates of Arvind Kejriwal. So the charge is that K. Kavita was actively involved in the conspiracy. She was aware about how rules were being bent to placate the South Group and how in return alleged bribe money was being paid to the Aam Aadmi Party. Now you just have to put together the moves that ED is making against Arvind Kejriwal also. He's just suffered a setback. The court has refused to intervene in his application where he said on technical grounds that he should not be questioned by the ED. So I think the ED, what they're also doing is preparing a tight case because they want to ensure that Arvind Kejriwal as the national convener of the Aam Aadmi Party is also held accountable. If K. Kavita and questioning of K. Kavita leads them to evidence against Kejriwal, against his involvement, against the allegation that Aam Aadmi Party was the ultimate beneficiary. For example, the allegation that the bribe amount was utilized by the party to fund elections. If they can find any evidence on that count, it will prove to be extremely beneficial for them in the next charge sheet that they want to file. But you have to remember, this is all coming just before the Lok Sabha elections are to be announced by the election commissioners tomorrow.
Yes.
So, of course, the opposition will cry foul.
No, this is one of the biggest names that have now been caught as far as the Liquorgate probe is concerned. You have Manish Sisodia and Sanjay Singh of the Aam Aadmi Party in jail for many, many months. In fact, Manish Sisodia for a year now. And you've got K. Kavita, the other big name as far as Indian politics is concerned, implicated in this case. She's been detained so far. Now, Arunima, as you were saying, the act of detaining itself, given the stature of the leader concerned here, would you suggest that this is a big step that the Enforcement Directorate has taken, that they wouldn't have done this lightly?
See, what the Enforcement Directorate officials are confirming to me is that Kavita is being brought to Delhi. Obviously, in election season, when election is going to be declared in less than 15 hours from now, no big politician would on her own account willingly want to leave her base and come to Delhi. So there's more to the story. Technically, yes, the ED is still not saying that they have arrested her. Perhaps the paperwork is yet to be done. Perhaps there are reasons that the IO has for not confirming whether she has been arrested yet or not. But the very fact that they are confirming that she is being brought to Delhi for further questioning looks like it's not, her will has not been taken, her consent has not been taken, not much option that she has, given the kind of searches that have been carried out. This is not a situation where summons were sent to her and she came to Delhi and during the course of questioning this action has happened. ED carried out searches at her residence. Post that, they are confirming that she is being brought to Delhi. So even if ED is not confirming arrest, things look ominous for K. Kavita.
Right. So, just for the benefit of our viewers, and Aruna, we'll try and get Swastika back because she's reporting that there's a bit of activity happening from outside her home. I think she mentioned that KCR is there, K. Kavita being KCR's former Chief Minister's daughter. KT Ramarao is also there. So, we'll just have to wait and see what happens there. Seems like a lot of build-up of politically will take place, and it's not going to be an easy one for the Enforcement Directorate. KK Rao of the BRS, in fact, is joining us over the phone line. Mr. Rao, the update coming in, the ED has detained K. Kavita for the meantime. She's being brought to Delhi is what we are getting to know. We don't know what happens next, whether she's officially arrested or not, but your first response.
In fact, it is most unfortunate because the case is before Supreme Court and we all thought that they would wait for 4 more days because on 19th there is a hearing and they will do it. Anyhow, there is a lot of confusion now. They want only a search to be done, and they don't think that they have arrested it. But we don't know. I am at her residence now, so I myself do not know unless I talk to my lawyer.
Yes, we can't confirm if she's been arrested or will be arrested, but she's certainly been detained. That much has been confirmed to us by the Enforcement Directorate.
Perhaps they intend to take her to
Delhi. Yes.
When they want to take her to Delhi, naturally, it is not called detained, but they would like to take her along. So that is what they are trying to do.
The suggestion that is also coming out, Mr. Rao, is that maybe Ms. Kavita was not cooperating as far as the questioning or the investigation was concerned. And under those circumstances, the investigating agencies take this step.
No. The question is even investigating agencies are confused as to what exactly they are supposed to do under law, because they are confronted with 2-3 positions by the lawyers. So they have to take a stand on the law position. So they are not able to tell us as to what exactly that means. But what you are saying is correct. They intend to take her to Delhi.
Okay. Sir, any update or word that you have had or have received, amidst your party communication from...
No, I'm meant to go to her house. I'm three houses apart. So let me go first. Then I'll be able to talk to you.
Okay. All right. Mr. Rao, thanks a lot for joining us. Arunima, the South group you mentioned, it's obviously been talked about since day one of the ED investigations. There are members of this group allegedly like Hyderabad businessman Sarath Reddy, YSR Congress Party's MP Magunta Srinivaslu Reddy and son Raghav Reddy and others. And some of them have also turned approvers. How tricky could these allegations and all the other arrests that have already been made be for K. Kavita? Because a lot of them are already in custody.
There's another player in all of this called Arjun Pillai. What has been alleged by Enforcement Directorate is Mr. Pillai was a representative of K. Kavita.
Yes.
And like I said, some allegations have been made that K. Kavita was actually in Delhi when the crucial Delhi cabinet meeting was happening, or before that when these deliberations between South Group and between the alleged conspirators was happening. So the charge is that she didn't just allow Pillai to represent her. She was a direct beneficiary of this entire conspiracy and the South Group. She was aware of what was going on. She was allegedly aware of the rules being bent. All those allegations have been made against her. Now, interestingly, I just want to point this out. When the Central Bureau of Investigation first summoned her, they did not, name her as an accused in the case. The section under which she was summoned was that of a witness. Second time, that section had changed, and she actually took note of it when she wrote back to the CBI's IO. She said, "It's strange that first time you called me as a witness, but now you're not even giving me that benefit." And soon after, I think within 2 or 3 weeks, Enforcement Directorate thought it fit that they must carry out searches at her house, and now she is being brought to Delhi for further questioning. So things are not looking bright for K. Kavita at all. This investigation has been on for some time now, both the CBI and the ED. It's an ongoing investigation. They're getting fresh evidence, but it's important to note how for both K. Kavita and Arvind Kejriwal, the day has not panned out well. ED could well be wanting to pick up more evidence so that all threads of this investigation are tied up together before the final charge sheet is filed. And for that, questioning of both Kavita and Kejriwal is important for the ED's investigating team.
Yes, and in both their cases, the two big names, K. Kavita and Arvind Kejriwal, there's a lot of back and forth that has happened already between these leaders and the investigative agency on their summons. Even K. Kavita has actually skipped a lot of summons in the past. Arvind Kejriwal is facing court as far as skipping of those summons is concerned, and today he did not get relief as far as personal appearance in one of those cases is concerned. So not going well, but it seems the agencies are not stopping. The timing of this will again come under question. We'll try and go across to BRS MLC K Kavita's residence, if we can go across and see if we can get something from there, or our colleague Swastika as well, because clearly a lot of leaders are collecting there. There's a lot of media presence. The raids were already taking place. I think our colleague Swastika mentioned that her brother KT Ramarao is actually there. And a lot of the other BRS leaders live in close proximity. They're likely to swoop down to K Kavita's residence. It could well turn out to be a bit of a political demonstration there as well. There is, okay, let me go across to my colleague Arunima as well. Arunima, it seems like some of the defenses that have come from K Kavita's side were not sufficient enough. Just take us through the number of times she was summoned in the past, and how many of those summons did she skip? What were the circumstances leading to this raid at her residence today?
See, she's been summoned by the CBI and the ED also, and she's appeared before them earlier also and answered questions. But what is now turning the tide perhaps is the new evidence that the ED is gathering. One person called Amit Arora, he had given a statement to the Enforcement Directorate, and one must point out that unlike statements under 161 CRPC, of course CRPC is now called BNNS, the Nyaya Sanghita has changed the name, but the broad contours of the section that was earlier CRPC 161, that police statement was not acceptable evidence, but a statement made before an ED-IO is admissible evidence. So what Amit Arora said is that the allegation of 100 crore bribe money being paid to Aam Aadmi Party is correct, and not just the South Group businessmen, but MLC K Kavita, MP Magunta Srinivasulu Reddy and P. Sarath of Aurobindo Pharma. All these three people were actively involved, aware and helping in that linkage of the South Group with the Aam Aadmi Party functionaries here in Delhi.
All right, Arunima, I'm going to keep coming back to you because updates will come in, and of course right now we can only confirm that K Kavita is being detained. She's going to be brought to Delhi. Will that turn into an official arrest or not? We'll have to wait and see. I also want to go across to some of our guests joining us. Tom Varakan, national spokesperson of the BJP, is with us. Aishwarya Mahadev of the Congress Party. Vivek Srivastav, leader of left politics in India, Amitabh Tiwari, election strategist, all with us. And of course, some of the circumstances have changed. We are still connected to southern politics, but in a very different context. Aishwarya Mahadev, I want to come to you first as the Congress representative on your first response to K Kavita being detained in the liquor scam.
Good evening, Shivani. I think looking at the nexus between who got raided, who didn't, and charge sheets being dropped, especially with certain information coming out from the SBI very recently, I completely believe that irrespective of which political part of the spectrum they are, if they are on an opposing side, then action is being taken all across. While you see inaction in a lot of cases and cases disappearing against people when it comes from a certain section of the dispensation, and very famously called the BJP washing machine. My first reaction is, especially in terms of PMLA in the ED, there is a separate process under section 50 and 45 on detention as a witness or detention as an accused in the case, and we hope that at least there's a modicum of process that is followed in this. But I genuinely think that this is just the beginning of what you're going to see as a very, very large tool in the upcoming elections against particular leaders of particular dispensations, which may or may not work with what the current central government likes.
Okay, all right. I'm going to get, of course, the BJP to respond to that. But very quickly, I want to go across to my colleague Swastika joining us from outside K Kavita's residence. Swastika, give us a sense of what you're witnessing there. Okay, Swastika, unfortunately, we're not getting your audio. We'll try and fix that. Can I go across to the BJP's Tom Varakan in the meantime? Tom Varakan, the timing is already being questioned. The targeting of quote-unquote opposition leaders alone in corruption cases being questioned already.
Well, this is an ongoing investigation. This is nothing bound by time or dictates from the Congress party. Let it be clear, we are on zero compulsion on corruption. We know what is happening in Karnataka. The kind of corruption that is going on has never happened. The kind of guarantees that they have offered, I'm speaking directly, have created a situation that there's no water in the city of Bangalore. They talk about governance. They talk about, their corruption. When I only talked about, she tries to link the detention of one person to her party's benefit. Then why shouldn't I open up and directly talk about the kind of corruption that their party is undergoing? D.K. Shiv Kumar, one of the favorites of, Karnataka Congress. What is his case?
Okay, but let's focus on this case. Let's focus on this case.
That
Kavita being detained. I understand that.
Have a broad canvas.
No, I understand that this is a case that has been ongoing. It's not really magically appeared suddenly, and Kavita has been asked to appear and be questioned earlier as well. But the fact that she's being detained, questions naturally will be asked. Mr. Varakan, I'm going to come back to you and Aishwarya as well. But I think Swastika is with me. Swastika, if you can hear me, just give us a quick sense of what's happening outside Kavita's residence.
Kavita is along with ED officials. There were about 5 to 6 ED officials who've come there. Along with Kavita, my brother K.T. Ramarao is also inside. And given to understand that in the next few minutes or so, she will be taken to Begumpet, and from there she will be taken to Delhi. She has been detained in the liquor scam case, and her detention comes in the backdrop of the ED not being satisfied with her response. Remember, what we're learning through our sources is that for the last 3.5 hours or so, the ED had been constantly searches in her residence, and Kavita, remember, constantly kept saying she will only appear or talk to them when her lawyers come back. But her lawyers were not allowed to go inside the building. So for now, what we can tell you is that Kavita in the next few moments will be taken out and she will be taken to Delhi where the further set of questioning will be underway.
All right, so Astika, we'll keep coming back to you. Before I go back to Aishwarya and Tom, I just want to quickly give an opportunity to both Vivek and Amitabh as well. Vivek, just today in Kerala, the Prime Minister, and Tamil Nadu, the Prime Minister talked about corruption.
Yes.
This is still pretty much clearly for the BJP the biggest weapon to use against opposition parties. And you cannot quite suggest that opposition leaders being caught in the nexus of corruption cases should not be acted against.
Nobody said it. Nobody is saying that let's have a corrupt India, and if you are going to use the ED and you try to find out the cases of corruption, then you are wrong. No, we are not saying it. But then if you see the whole tenure, tell me one thing very clearly. Ajit Pawar, is he corrupt or is he not corrupt? It's a very big question. Shubhendu Adhikari, they took him. Is he corrupt or is he not corrupt? Hemanta Biswa Sarma, is he corrupt or is he not corrupt? And now there are so many people in Maharashtra who are joining. Ashok Chavan has just joined. The same BJP which was attacking them day in and night out, corrupt, and suddenly, they are being welcomed just before 2024 elections.
I get that's the larger context, but in this case, in Kavita's case, can there be a defense? Should the agencies not be allowed to proceed as they need to? Her name hasn't cropped up today.
Yeah, agreed. You see, if you check the timings of this which is happening, the way they are hounding Arvind Kejriwal ji, why the cases have been made, in such a bad way that an honest guy like Manish Sisodia is not able to get bail. Ram Rahim ji 30 दिन से घूम रहे हैं in this country trying to canvass for the BJP. He is out on parole. And Mr. Manish Sisodia's wife is not well. So, if you see all this, we know that it is a conspiracy that is going on against the opposition leaders because this government is scared. Kerala, it's more than 2 years. The so-called gold scam case, Mr. Tom Vadkan has been coming day in and day out and we have been debating on it. No action taken. The ED got involved. What have they found out apart from harassment? And finally, Mr. Arif Muhammad Khan in Kerala was targeted by the Supreme Court itself and said you stopped, finance bill has been lingering for more than 2 years.
Okay.
And development of Kerala.
No, let's not get into that. Let's focus on the issue of opposition leaders particularly being implicated in corruption cases. Now you mentioned honest Manish Sisodia, etc. Now I know the PMLA is a very strict legislation and the court has upheld the powers of the ED in this regard. And I don't want to get into that, but there has been no relief, including any coercing of any such charges that has come in place for any individual linked to the Liquorgate scam. Aishwarya, I'll come to you. Just be with me for a few minutes more since we got delayed. Amitabh, this is going to be a big talking point. ahead of elections. How do you see corruption playing out as a talking point?
Yeah, see, essentially, corruption normally plays a big part in any election for an opposition party. So in 2014, BJP made it a big issue to CWG, GJG, etc. Now for BJP to make corruption an issue in 2024 election, it has to show action. For some people, putting people, or rather the ED taking action is an action. For largely its supporters. For a section of people, it is like saying that, oh, more than 95% of people who are being targeted are from opposition, and BJP is being used as a washing machine. So it's a perception battle. One battle is being fought in public courts, and one battle is being actually fought in the judiciary, wherein these people have not been able to get bail. That's also a fact. Now,
the fact also is, in the last 10 years, no big leader has actually been convicted either.
correct.
Some of these cases have just been going on for years and years.
Correct. So, in now specifically this TRS case or a BRS case in Telangana, if you see now, you already showed that BJP is likely to get majority seats in Telangana. Why is it happening, if the numbers are correct? Because BJP gets a leg up in any contest versus the Congress party. So the battle there has become bipolar because it's a national election between Congress and BJP. This issue is likely to squeeze out BRS further.
This corruption issue.
This corruption issue,
okay.
And the anti-Congress vote which BRS gets, because BRS gets anti-Congress and anti-BJP vote. This anti-Congress vote which BRS gets might shift to the BJP, and it can be a very bipolar election in Telangana.
You know, unfortunately, because of these updates, we've been, we've been forced to switch away from our election analysis and the News18 mega poll analysis. I do request our guests to just stay with us for as long as they can so that we can continue on this. But I want to quickly play out my colleague Swastika's report from outside K. Kavita's residence.
Kavita has been detained by the Enforcement Directorate in connection with the Delhi liquor scam. In fact, outside her Hyderabad residence, you can see a sea of supporters who have come here along with battery of media trying to get a glimpse of Kavita. In fact, who's been there inside her residence. It's been over 3.5 hours since the questioning has been underway. Just a short while ago, Kavita's brother, K.T. Rama Rao, went inside that house along with Harish Rao. In fact, they were seen banging on that white door, even as officials there tried to stop them from entering the building. So what's going to happen from here on? Kavita is being detained as we speak, and she will be taken to New Delhi for further questioning in connection with the Delhi liquor scam. Remember, Kavita has been named as an accused by the Enforcement Directorate in its charge sheet, accused of leading a South cartel where she was, accused of siphoning off funds or giving kickbacks to the tune of 100 crores to tweak the liquor policy. In this particular case, Manish Sisodia and Sanjay Singh are already in prison. In fact, this is the next high-profile detentions in that sense. This is BRS MLC Kavita, who will be taken to Delhi in connection with the Delhi liquor scam. What is her alleged role? Again, at the cost of repeating myself, she is being accused of leading a South cartel which allegedly paid kickbacks to the tune of 100 crores to facilitate liquor scam to tweak the policies in their favor and allegedly get ill-gotten money through it. All of that still continues to remain in the purview of investigation. Remember, Kavita was also served 2 CBI notices prior to this. Now the ED in fact has detained her for further questioning, and it is in all likelihood that she will be cross-questioned there at Delhi headquarters. For now, getting you all the updates from here outside Kavita's house, where you can see the supporters of the BRS party only building up, demanding in fact justice for Kavita, and they're also raising chants against Prime Minister Narendra Modi. They're saying that this is, in fact, they're alleging that this is a conspiracy, but besides that,
A lot of developments taking place, and they're all kind of coming from Telangana as we speak, because this is visuals coming in from the Prime Minister's roadshow from Malkajgiri as part of the election campaign for the parliamentary elections coming up. And even as the Prime Minister is in Telangana, former Telangana Chief Minister KCR's daughter, MLC Kavita, has been detained by the ED. So quite a few developments politically taking place, and of course a lot will be made of this, even as we are almost on the eve of the election dates being announced by the Election Commission tomorrow at about 3 p.m. So we'll stay on those visuals. Let's also bring in our guests who continue to be with us. Yes, Aishwarya, you've been wanting to come in. Please go ahead.
You know, Shivani, I would have really liked to see Mr. Tom on the ground in Kerala, but while he's not there, I think he's been completely unaware of the fact that there was a recent quashing against Mr. D.K. Shivkumar, the case that was dropped, the case that you sent him to jail for. So when you talk about unabashed corruption, I think this is the one thing that you have to notice. In the last point, everybody understands PMLA, cases of corruption, cases that go against the nature of what the Indian legal system is extremely harmful, yes. But when there is a subjective standard, for example, you're the people that said Himanta Biswa was so corrupt and then you took him into the BJP, he was clean. You're the people that weeks before Mr. Chavan of Maharashtra moved, had the Prime Minister release a booklet saying he's the most corrupt man, but obviously he's cleaner than the Ganga when you take him back again. This fact that there is massive subjective usage of authorities and agencies against particular dispensations or people on the spectrum of the opposition is what is extremely worrying.
Okay.
I can give you 100 different examples, and this is the problem.
No,
if
but Aishwarya, can I just come in? Aishwarya, just one counter question before I let Tom Vadakan respond. You know, when you hear that, okay, you talk about BJP as a washing machine, quote unquote, fair enough, but don't you feel the opposition also is in a tricky position or in a catch-22? Because when you raise an alarm over any opposition leader coming under the nexus of any corruption case or being investigated by agencies, almost sounds like an excuse for corruption. That's the catch-22 for the opposition.
There is absolutely no excuse for corruption, but there shouldn't be an excuse for you to politicize and weaponize agencies in order to foist the sort of this plank of corruption onto people. The opposition is very clear. If you find enough wrongdoing, for example, it took 2.5 years after the arrest of Mr. D.K. Shivkumar, where you had him languishing in jail, for them to even file a charge sheet. And based on that charge sheet, the Supreme Court not only hauled up the agencies but also quashed the case against him, saying there was neither reason to believe that is required under Section 5 and Section 8 of the PMLA, but also that there was a complete derailment of what the process should be.
Okay.
And they did not have substantial evidence. These are the instances, because it is not about conviction anymore. It is the fact that the trial
or the process is the punishment, and of course the perception that our election expert talked about is the issue here, not so much the result of these cases or even, some of the arrests. Tom Vadakan?
Well, I wanted her to talk about D.K. Shivkumar and give a defense because I know why she's defending him. The fact of the matter is, she's complaining about the processes. There is a process problem, but the fact of the matter is there was evidences. But the evidences was not good enough. That is the argument. And I ask her to read the details of the Supreme Court verdict very carefully before coming to a judgment. And this is not the first and the last case D. Shivkumar is going to deal with. It is an ongoing process. So, Aishwarya, hold your guns. Your defense is fine for D.K. Shivkumar. But let it be said, there is a public perception of D.K. Shivkumar across the country. So let it not be, I'm not elaborating on that. As to the question of what has happened after these cases, that is what we are doing. We have zero tolerance on corruption. It's an ongoing process. Every 3 months, 4 months, you have an election in this country. So whenever there is an election and there is an action by the agency, immediately the agencies, they charge them of, being political. There's nothing political about it. As to the question of washing machine, let me inform Aishwarya, look, none of the cases against anybody has been withdrawn. Unlike the Congress party who withdraws cases. Tell me one case where the BJP has withdrawn cases. I'll tell you 10 cases where consciously the Congress party has withdrawn cases.
Okay.
And if that is not enough, we will fight against corruption, whether it is election time or no election time. Our manifesto promises that these culprits will be proceeded on. It may take time, but yes, it will happen.
Okay, these are visuals coming in from Telangana where the PM is hosting his roadshow, campaigning for former Minister Itala Rajender, contesting from the Malkajgiri constituency. And of course, some of these tickets and all have already been announced for the BJP, and the Prime Minister in Tamil Nadu, Telangana, Kerala, really putting his might, and he's their star campaigner. Vivek, I want to come back to the South focus by the Prime Minister himself.
Right.
You know, that focus is really now almost writ large, and it seems like some of the regional satraps in South, BRS kind of faced a reversal just recently, so they've been on the decline. I won't talk about just them, but even like YSRCP, the fact that TDP came back to them. You've got the left in Kerala, you've got DMK and Congress in Tamil Nadu, all very nervous about the BJP. You may claim that the BJP will never really gain here, but there's a sense of nervousness.
Look, the perception of the South is very different from the way the North Indian states have reacted in the last few years. And most of the politics that the BJP has done, it has been into the North Indian heartland, the cow belt as we call it up. And if you see the South Indian reactions in the last few months, the controversies we had, for example, in Tamil Nadu, there is a very strong Dalit movement which was started by Periyar, which is still alive. And right now, Mr. Stalin is the man who's trying to move it forward. So, I mean, I don't think, any amount of road shows, he can go and do it over there. It's not going to click because they do not agree with what the RSS stands for. Please understand, the RSS stands for a Hindu society dominated with a Brahminical supremacy. And this is not acceptable to people of South India. There is a big ideological difference. That is why in South India, be it Tamil Nadu, be it Kerala, be it Karnataka, yes, they had a...
Karnataka, they've done
yes,
well.
Yes, they did well. I'm not denying it. But overall, the impact in the 130 seats down south is not going to be good, whatever might any psephologist say. I'm very clear about it. Okay?
No, but in Telangana, the picture could be very different. And as our poll also suggested, you know, in Telangana, it's not so much about ideology alone. It is about alliances. And with the TDP coming back to them, they've certainly, you know, stitched what could be a winning alliance. Amitabh, do you think the Prime Minister's focus also betrays a certain element of confidence on his part and the BJP's part that, you know, they're investing so much of his own personal capital and image? People will naturally ask a question, right, of what happened of the Modi magic and impact if they don't do well in South. So does that also betray some confidence on their part that they're definitely going to make gains?
See, all this reminds me of 2019 election. In UP and Bihar, BJP lost 19 seats.
Yes.
No, almost 19 seats. 15 to 20 seats, let's to be precise. But BJP was aware of it that they have maxed out in the north, and the highest number of rallies after UP, which the Prime Minister did, was in Odisha and West Bengal, where they made significant gains. Now here also, BJP realizes that having maxed out in the north, they need to make gains in the south. And by the way, BJP is the single largest party in south of India. People don't realize this. It has higher number of seats than Congress, and the fact that in the south of India, each state has its own regional party. They are not united. BJP is the largest party. In Karnataka, it has been strong for many decades now. Now, they have an opening in Andhra, they have an opening in Telangana as well. Now, even in Kerala and Tamil Nadu, there is a section of voters because Kerala has seen Congress versus left politics for the last 70-80 years now.
Yeah.
And in Tamil Nadu, this Dravidian politics has also been there for more than 50 years. So there is a section of voters which is bored of this politics and sees BJP as a new player on the horizon, and that is where BJP sees it can make some gains. It could be 2, 3, 5, whatever
gain
number
is a
of
gain,
seats.
and vote share gain is also very important. And actually, mind you, on vote share premise, they've not done badly actually in some of these
Kerala, they have
states.
done relatively well in terms of vote share earlier. In 2014 in Tamil Nadu, BJP-led alliance got 18% votes.
Yeah.
18%
No, so vote share
votes.
hasn't been bad. It's about, you know, getting to that threshold where you can start converting seats. But, you know, you made a point about how some of this politics that Vivek was also mentioning, it's not like these are new politics. You know, people have seen it for 50, 60 years now. and sometimes an alternative is attractive. And sometimes, this is not 2014 where you could create a hawa about Narendra Modi becoming Prime Minister. They've seen him as Prime Minister for 10 years.
Yes.
But let Tom Vadakan respond to what you said. The RSS politics does not work down south. Tom Vadakan.
Surprisingly, the RSS has more shakas in Kerala than anywhere else. And it is the RSS that has a grip on a lot of areas. The Bharatiya Janata Party has now created a situation in Kerala, I can tell you. I've been going in and out. I wanted to remind Aishira, I've been to Kerala more often than she can ever imagine. And the reality is, the Christians among Kerala and the other communities have come to realize that there is an alternative. And they see Modi ji as an alternative. You can see the enthusiasm in the ground. It's not just the road shows. Okay. Now look at the threat perception of DMK. They asked the police to stop the road show and they had to go to the High Court. This is just a litmus test of what is really happening on the ground, because they're scared that there is the kind of magnetism Modi ji has brought about in southern region, be it Kerala or Telangana, or for that matter in Kerala. This is just the beginning, and let me tell you, the figures will shock a lot of people.
From which state? All of them, or from Kerala particularly?
Kerala is going to be a big curtain raiser, and there are other states, Tamil Nadu, Telangana, and Andhra. You see the number of seats, as one of the person on your panel said, they have seen a maximum in northern states, and now it's the turn of South India.
We'll wait and see. Certainly, there seems to be some gains in store. Aishwarya, I have to slip into a break, but I give you 30 seconds just as a comment on South push by the BJP and the fact that they're being projected to make big inroads.
Shivani, of course, it's a rare distinction for Mr. Tom because he has been to Kerala more. He's also existed for like 4 decades more than I have. But the fact still remains that in the South, there are two narratives, right? Everybody in the South talks about development. Everybody in the South has been talking about devolution. Everybody in the South is consistently raising their voice about saying, is it unfair or fair for the southern states to not get as much? Which is why when Prime Minister Modi comes in, because he talks about Achhe Din, Vikas, I don't know what Kal we are in now, but when he comes to the South, he picks up only one narrative, which is about temple. He picks up only in Tamil Nadu today. He could have spoken about how Tamil Nadu's economics is what it is, but he spoke about the Sengol and he spoke about the consecration of a temple. In Kerala, it's not the necessary narrative, so he will talk about the corruption of the UDF while not taking any onus or ownership about the fact that very recently a lottery giant gave somebody electoral bonds and very slowly the ED case against them completely was dropped and the charges had changed. So when you make these large pompous statements about gains in the South, I also would like to say the voter here is far more discerning to see past the smoke screen. And I am South Indian and I've seen this happen in Karnataka. You had the Prime Minister come for 10-15 shows, inaugurate incomplete metro stations which flooded very few days after, but they still saw us get 135.
But state and central elections do tend to differ for the BJP, and we've seen that not just for the BJP but even for some other.
Always pushes back.
Well, always is always still only today. Always can always change. That is what we're talking about, whether it's going to change or not.
Shivani, the sad dichotomy is when the Congress gains 1 or 2 seats, you still say, oh, the Congress was decimated. But today you're telling me there is a gain of 2 seats, there is a gain of 5 seats, which seem to be such monumental sort of improvements.
The gain of 2 seats that we are projecting is a gain of 2 seats. But it's also coming on the back on the Congress winning a state mandate in Karnataka. So we have to see it in context. I'd have to take a very short break. I do thank our guests for joining us. We're going to come back after a short break. We'll get you more updates. Remember the other big story playing out in Telangana, Kavita set to be arrested is what we're hearing. We'll be back with more.
Saturn was pushed into space by its 1.5 million pounds of thrust as it spouted a flame longer than a football field. Missile men monitored.
Pretty accurate that, back in the 1960s and 1970s, we had these super heavy launch capabilities with the Saturn V rocket. and we were able to use that rocket to send people to the moon in the Apollo program. And what rockets like Starship, and then also NASA's SLS rocket, they're giving us that capability back again. And what we know is it's an incredibly expensive type of rocket to build and operate. And I think the question that SpaceX is taking on is, can you reduce costs? Can you make it profitable? And I think you could expect to see, an increased cadence of launches after this. And then once we've got, confidence that this is a safe launch vehicle, you'll start seeing humans fly.
SpaceX needs to prove that Starship is 100% safe before it takes astronauts on board. And in order to do that, it needs to make sure it understands how the vehicle re-enters the atmosphere, both parts of the vehicle, the booster, and then the vehicle that's on top, the actual Starship. It needs to safely be able to re-enter the Earth's atmosphere and then land, whether it's landing in the ocean or whether it is, landing back on Earth. And in order to prove to itself that it's safe enough, it needs to do it in one of these test flights. So that's that last step that it did not accomplish today, but will hopefully accomplish in the near future.
All right. I mean, that's definitely been something that Elon Musk has promoted ever since he introduced the idea of the Starship rocket, was that this would be a vehicle that would eventually give us the capabilities to send humans to Mars and to have a sort of ongoing transport between Earth and Mars. And so it does seem to be part of Elon's long-term vision. But for now, I think we're going to just have to wait and see how it does and how NASA's Artemis program fares in terms of becoming a sustainable program of lunar exploration. I would say that with this technology, if you can manage to make lunar exploration and lunar habitation sustainable, then yeah, Mars might be a logical next step.
We're starting to hear some good news that it looks like winds are not going to hold us up. 5, 4, 3, 2,
1. This was definitely a milestone flight. It hit a lot of targets that it did not hit with the last integrated test flight. It was able to launch with all 33 Raptor engines. It was able to do a complete separation of the booster from Starship. It was able to relight some of those engines and do a test of the payload bay doors, opening and closing them. It didn't quite get some of those final milestones, that is landing or attempting a soft splashdown in the ocean, nor was the Starship able to return to the Earth, to re-entry. However, it did make it to space, and that's the biggest milestone. It made it to orbit. And so this was a successful flight in my mind.
Now, the next major milestone is going to be a hot staging maneuver. Again, we're going to be doing that in just about 90 seconds. To do that, we're going to shut down.
Though, I mean, congrats to the team. Making it this far is farther than we've gone.
Absolute Star Command. There you see it again. This is our Mission Control Center at.
And then, there were also a couple of problems that happened with the booster falling sort of uncontrolled into the ocean, and then the vehicle burning up on re-entry. But otherwise, this was the most successful flight so far. And what it speaks to is, the eventual capability of using this vehicle to launch heavy payloads and cruise on longer trips, like trips to the moon, such as what NASA's Artemis program is designed to do.
We're getting a few engines. So the heating and the loads that Starship is going through right now are what it would be getting if it were recovering from an orbital mission. And just the fact that we have views through entry, this is incredible. The heat shield tiles doing their work. We talked about
SpaceX's philosophy is more that, they don't expect everything to go right. They don't really or at least that's what they say publicly, is that they don't expect everything to go right, but they expect things to improve over time. And that's worked well for them with their Falcon 9 rockets, which are now very profitable for the company. And I think they're expecting the same thing to be happening in this case as well. And one thing that these launches definitely have done is that they've drummed up a lot of public enthusiasm for SpaceX and for this new super heavy launch vehicle.
Now, Starship is a completely different vehicle. It's meant to be completely reusable at some point. It is meant to bring a whole lot more payload to space. It's even envisioned to bring 100 tons to the surface of the moon. Like, that's what we're talking about, something that's never been fathomed before. It's also larger, much larger than Space Shuttle. So Space Shuttle had at its capacity 7 people, 7 crew. We don't really know the official numbers with Starship, but it's envisioned that it could take 100 people or more in Starship. SpaceX also intends to take humans to the surface of Mars. In addition, there are other customers. There's the Department of Defense, and there's private customers that intend to take use of Starship. Starship is the biggest and most powerful rocket ever built. It's bigger than Saturn V, which took astronauts to the moon in the 1960s and 70s.
And there you see it again. This is our Mission Control Center at. We heard a call out for nominal orbital insertion, which is incredible. Look at these views, Dan.
A 19-story tall Saturn was pushed into space by its 1.5 million pounds of thrust as it spouted a flame longer than a football field. Missile men monitored.
Pretty accurate that, back in the 1960s and 1970s, we had these super heavy launch capabilities with the Saturn V rocket, and we were able to use that rocket to send people to the moon in the Apollo program. And what, rockets like Starship, and then also NASA's SLS rocket, they're giving us that capability back again. And, what we know is it's an incredibly expensive type of rocket to build and operate. And I think the question that SpaceX is taking on is, can you reduce costs? Can you make it profitable? And I think you could expect to see, an increased cadence of launches after this. And then once we've got, confidence that this is a safe launch vehicle, you'll start seeing humans fly.
SpaceX needs to prove that Starship is 100% safe before it takes astronauts on board. And in order to do that, it needs to make sure it understands how the vehicle re-enters the atmosphere, both parts of the vehicle, the booster, and then the vehicle that's on top, the actual Starship. It needs to safely be able to re-enter the Earth's atmosphere and then land.
Welcome back. Big update coming in. CNN News 18 can confirm that Kavita, the BRS MLC and daughter of former Chief Minister of Telangana, has been arrested in the Liquorgate scam. My colleague Arunima bringing us more on this. Arunima, big update as far as this probe is concerned.
Yes, it was imminent, the way things were going. First, the news came in that she has to be brought to Delhi. Of course, that would have been in custody. Detention was confirmed by the Enforcement Directorate. Now, there's a video that has also been released by KTR, brother of Kavita, which shows that the investigating officer of the Enforcement Directorate is present there and serving the arrest memo. There's a lot of back and forth going on, allegations being made that ED's arrest memo is illegal. But now we can confirm that the arrest memo has been served. The arrest has been carried out. Kavita will be brought to Enforcement Directorate office in New Delhi in custody. She will be produced in the Rouse Avenue court subsequently. There could be a transit remand application also in Hyderabad, and there's already a lot of BRS cadre gathering outside. So both outside the court and outside her residence, ED will have a tough time. Perhaps, and this is something that is leading up to it, they're going to requisition central paramilitary forces for protection of the Enforcement Directorate officers also, given the high emotions at the residence of Kavita as well as expected at the court.
And while the ED has been, asking her to come for summons so far, and even if they were not fully satisfied with her answering, they wouldn't have taken the step of arresting her and bringing her to Delhi unless they had enough. Can we say that?
Yes, of course. The Enforcement Directorate is bolstered by the way the Prevention of Money Laundering Act has been framed. If they are not satisfied with the answers that are being given by somebody who is an accused, is a suspect in this case, and there is a difference in the way K. Kavita's arrest has been carried out. This is not a case where she was summoned under Section 50 and then the IO took a call that she deserves to be an accused and not a witness. In this case, ED landed at her residence, carried out searches. So one is presuming that during the searches, they picked up digital devices, they picked up documents and other evidence which convinced them that K. Kavita is fit enough for custodial interrogation, that she is an accused in this particular case who must be brought to Delhi. The reason she is being brought to Delhi perhaps is the other accused in this case, the top politicians, Sanjay Singh, Manish Sisodia, they are all in Delhi, they are in custody in Tihar jail. Arvind Kejriwal, things are, legal options are running out for him also. It seems ED wants to question him. So K. Kavita being brought to Delhi has to be seen in that context.
All right. I do thank you, Arunima, for bringing us all the latest updates. On that note, time for me to take your leave. My colleague Rahul Shivshankar is joining you.
Well, live visuals, viewers, of that ongoing arrest of K. Kavita, who is, of course, the daughter of the BRS Supremo. And what you're seeing are dramatic pictures of an arrest of a top political voice as well as of a member of parliament, viewers, from Telangana. This is a particular issue related allegedly to the liquor gate scandal in Delhi, where, of course, viewers, license were given out, some say arbitrarily license were given out for quid pro quos, backhanders, etc. That is what was said, viewers. Of course, we have still to see how this case is going to play out. But let me tell you, just yesterday, Mr. Sisodia was the Deputy Chief Minister of Delhi formerly, who's been arrested now for more than a year and has been in jail, was once again refused bail. So clearly, the charges against some of these individuals are not frivolous, and it is unreasonable to assume that the ED would carry out a raid if it couldn't make some of the charges stick on an individual, especially if that raid then results in an arrest of a high-profile individual as K. Kavita. You saw her brother there, KTR, taking on the ED team, claiming that the ED was acting in a manner that was absolutely arbitrary. But viewers, they had the warrants, they have the powers, and they've executed them. Let's just go straight across to our reporter, Swastika, to get a little bit more on this. Swastika, what can you tell us?
Well, as we speak, Kavita is making her way out of her residence. She is going to be taken to Delhi. She has been detained in connection with the Delhi legal scam case, accused of running a South cartel, paying kickbacks to the tune of 100 crores to get ill-gotten licenses. This is the accusation against K. Kavita, and this comes in the backdrop of 6 accused turning into approvers, including the son of former YSRCP MP Raghava Malgunta. In fact, it's being said that it is his statement along with Arun Ramchandra Pillai that the ED finally got a nexus and understood Kavita's role. Now, all of that remains under the purview of investigation. Kavita will be taken to Delhi I think at 8:45 is her flight, is when we're given to understand. In fact, the entire family of Kavita, including K.T. Ramarao, her brother, they have come here in solidarity. In fact, when Kavita came out of her residence, she also brought her son along in what she says a show of strength. But from here on, what really is essential to know is also the timing. Remember, today is also Prime Minister Narendra Modi's big roadshow here in Hyderabad, and even as he ramps up his speech against corruption, time and again attacking the BRS of being involved in various scams, including attacking K. Kavita also on past occasions. Today, K. Kavita's arrest, in fact, is sending out a big political message as far as the state of Telangana is concerned. K. Kavita is the daughter of former Chief Minister K. Chandrasekhar Rao, BRS President, and this, in fact, is a big jolt to the family.